minute ago, so I'm going to go ahead and recreate this spoked spline here. So I'm just clicking a couple of points, spline points, to kind of create the curve. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in and edit these points here in just a minute, because you can kind of see that it's a little bit wonky here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this check mark. That's going to finish my spline. And if I hit enter on the keyboard, it just brings me back into my normal selection area. And I can actually draw and drag things out a little bit, which is really ideal for exactly what I'm wanting to do here. I am going to bring this point down just a bit and this point down just a bit, because I don't want it to stick too terribly high up out of the rim. But for this particular style of rim, it should come out of there a little bit. So this is good. Next, I'm going to go ahead and offset this just like we've done before, and I'm going to drag this one down and into the wheel a pretty good ways. I'm probably going to give this thing right about an inch, so -1 inch right here will be a good offset for this. And we can go ahead and we can connect those two dots, and we've already got this done here. This line is going into the initial sketch data, so we are golden. I'm going to go ahead and finish this sketch out. And so now I've got to turn this off. Let's go back to our home view here. And I'm going to go ahead and create a revolve really quickly. So we're going to create a revolve command of this, and the axis that we're going to be using is this green axis here. And so you can see how it kind of creates this really weird dished out structure here. I want to make sure that instead of join, I'm going to new body also. Make sure you set this as a new body. We hit OK. So now we've got our rim, and we've got our spokes right here. And so we can take this particular sketch, we can turn that off. You can see from this front view how it actually takes on a lot of what we're looking on here exactly the way that we want it to. Now, hopefully, well, I might actually need to come back in. We'll see what, actually, no, I'm happy with this. I'm very, very happy with this. I was going to say I might need to bring this out, but that's the actual, that's part of the brake rotor that's back here. So I can turn this off. I can turn my section analysis off. This line right here is not a major deal. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the actual rim itself off. We've got this really cool flying saucer shape here. And we're going to turn on the rim cuts. And we are going to extrude these rim cuts now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the spokes off for just a second. Click, drag around everything here. Turn the spokes back on. Flip around to this view, and I'm going to change my direction to two-sided because I want to cut up and I want to cut down. And we can go ahead and hit OK on the keyboard. So now when we swing back up, we've got our BBS spoke pattern here that came out really, really well. All right, so when we take our image and turn this back on here, you can see if we turn the spokes off that everything here is pretty much exactly the way that I want it to be. Now, there is one issue that I'm not super happy with, and that is the outside kind of lip of the spokes. So I'm going to turn that off, that on. What I really want to happen is I want to cut off the outside of this. I don't want this disc to be out here. I want it to flow straight into our rim. So I'm going to go ahead and turn a new sketch. I'm going to grab a circle, C on the keyboard, and I'm just going to drag straight out to about here and hit return. And click on finish sketch. I'm going to turn this off, and you guys can see how that almost hit exactly. I could actually make this come all the way out to here. But I'm not, well, let's see. Yeah, we're going to cut all the way. So let's go back in time. We're going to delete that sketch. And we're going to turn this off. I'm going to create my circle again, and I'm going to drag it straight up. I'm actually going to bring it to this one here. Well, it's going to be tricky because I didn't use the same circle to create these two, and I should have. It's okay. I'm not going to go that far back in time, so we're just going to cut it right about where it was. We want to get as close to this as we can. Perfect, right there. All right, and that gets us close to both of them. So now I can finish the sketch, grab this, swing around this way, and I'm going to extrude this one again. I'm going to go back to two sides this time, and this time instead of new body, cut, or join, I'm going to go to intersect. And so I'm going to keep everything that I extrude through here. And go ahead and say OK. Go back to our home view, turn our rim back on. And so now you can see that we've got just a few more little weird issues here. Nothing major. But I'm going to turn my section analysis back on. I'm going to flip around to this particular side here. And you can see how we've got some stuff that's just kind of not really lining up very well with our rim profile. And so that's a little interesting to me. Part of that is because we just cut some stuff off. So what I might do is go back here, and instead of changing that intersection extrude, what I might do is come back in here and just draw out a new sketch through here, and then revolve that new sketch around, or I could even come in and adjust the original sketch that is right here. So if I come back here, we can actually make some changes to this original spline, and you can see how these changes adjust both of those offsets. So let's go ahead and hit finish sketch here, and let's see what happens to it now. That's much, much more what I was really wanting to see. So I can turn my section analysis off, and now that thing looks a lot better. The spokes are actually down in the rim where I really wanted to see them. So that's ideal right there. Just what I was hoping for. So now we can come in and we can actually start creating the bolt pattern in this one. Now, this particular BBS wheel has a bolt pattern that is a 4.5 inch pattern. So if we take our 4.5 inch pattern, which I think ends up being 4.25, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new sketch on this face right here. Go down and grab my polygon tool. Inscribed or circumscribed, doesn't really matter. And so I'm going to go ahead and drag out this way and hit tab, make this 5 sides, just like that. Now, I'm going to say OK. There is no distancing here, so if I come in and dimension from here to here and make this 4.25, OK, and then I come in and grab my circle tool and I create a 1.5 inch circle, 1.5 inch here. And we're going to go ahead, let me grab this polygon and make that construction. So I just double click and hit X. That means I can select pretty much this whole circle here. I'm going to make that construction too. So then now I can select my circle here. And we're going to go ahead and create a circular pattern. It is going to be 5 iterations around this point. We hit OK. And so now we're going to grab this. We're going to extrude, 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 and extrude. And I want to turn the rim off because I want to actually see what's going on here. I'm going to go to my side view, and I'm going to change this to two-sided. The first one is going to come all the way up. We want to cut through some material here, and then we're going to go down ever so slightly below the surface. So we're going to go 0.3 here and say OK. So now, turn that rim back on, swing back around to my home view, and you can see how I've now created some cuts, just like in this particular wheel here. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish these off. I'm going to create a circle here that is 0.75 inches in diameter. And now we're going to pattern that circular pattern here, center point here, 5 times. Perfect. Here, here. We're going to go ahead and extrude this, this, and this. Drag those straight down through there. Hit return. Perfect. These edges are a little bit sharp for me, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in and add a fillet to all of these edges here in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead, select this face, hit fillet, select this face, hit fillet, and let me see what 0.1 inches does. It might, yeah, it's not going to like that too much. So 0.05 inches. Yeah, it's still not liking that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here, fillet, 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 fillet. And we're going to make this 0.1. There we go. That's awesome. All right, so that just softens that up a little bit right in here. And we can probably do the same thing around here safely. And awesome. There we go. All right, so now we've got some softness in the middle of the rim. The last thing that I need to do is I need to go ahead and create the little dome for the center cap of the wheel. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sketch back on this plane here. And let's pull our BBS Forged up again. And we'll go about right here with it. It's going to be a 2-inch little dish. We're going to extrude this down through the wheel, just like that. Come around here, circle, 68 millimeters for our back spacing. Extrude. That's too much, a 1/2 inch. So negative 0.25 inches. Swing back around here. And so now we need to create that little BBS cap that goes in there. So this is a 2-inch diameter opening here. Turn everything off. Turn your origin on. Let me turn my spokes back on really quickly. I'm going to be drawing on this face here. So we're going to sketch, whoops, new sketch on this face. Turn the spokes off. We're going to come and grab a line tool, and we're going to go 1 inch, 1 inch. Grab my line tool, come up ever so slightly, and I'm going to hit exit really quickly. end this line. Line tool up just a little bit here. And now, let's see. Actually, no, I don't want that. Yes, I do. So now I'm going to grab my arc tool. And this is just going to be a 3-point arc from here, here. Right like this. Perfect. And now, line tool, line tool, line tool. Line tool. And I did this bit wrong here. This needs to be deleted, and then my line needs to just come straight here to right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, let's see here. I'm going to dimension something really quickly because I want this to be a little bit larger than 2 inches. So dimension this line here. Cancel. Yes, okay. I know. Exits. I guess I already added a dimension to this. So where is that dimension? It's up here. There we go. Perfect. 1.125. There we go. Okay. This is going to come down. I'm just clicking and dragging so that I can move a few things around. There we go. All right. And so now I'm going to grab another line from about right here. This one's going to be 1 inch long. And now I'm going to drag this up into here because this is just going to be the little end cap for the wheel itself. And then L here to here. This is just kind of fine-tuning details. We're going to trim that out. That's perfect. So now this section here, we're going to finish our sketch. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a revolve of this. The axis is going to be right here. We're going to say OK. Make sure that sketch gets turned back on. Now we're going to create one more revolve here. Our axis is going to be here, and perfect. We're going to say OK on that, except that accidentally joined. I want it to be a new body, and we're going to say OK. Now, this is the center cap, and this is the logo. I'm going to take this and turn it off, and I'm going to take this and apply a tiny fillet to it, just like that, so that when the logo part is on there, we actually have a little bit of separation here. And I'm going to do the exact same thing to the logo. I'm going to give that a fillet of 0.01, just for some styling, and then fillet 0.01 here. These two pieces are going to drop into the rim itself. So we're going to turn this on. I don't think that they are in place. They are not. So what we need to do is put these in place. So we're going to move this body and this body, and we're going to move them down into this. This is going to look weird, and it's going to start to get really complicated looking in just a second because I'm going to change this over to wireframe. So wireframe, and now what I can do is drag this down This is my flat edge here. Whew. All right, so that's 1/100th of an inch. I wonder if I can get it this 0.775. Perfect. 4, 3. There we go. So now when we go back to our home view, turn our rim on, get out of wireframe because it's crazy looking, shaded with visible edges, and turn our origin off. You can see how we have now created this pretty darn successful BBS 7-spoke rim. So later I will make a video of going over appearances for this particular rim, because if you look at it, it is all forged aluminum, but there's some really cool stuff that we can do to this where we could actually make it look like it's two different materials that are, one is maybe painted. It just kind of depends. So hopefully this has helped you guys out, but for the most part, this is a finished wheel. Take it easy, fellas.